To give you an idea of how expensive that payout could be, she did an interview on Sunday as a paid contributor, her only one. It was about 20 minutes long. It could cost NBC more than $30,000 per minute or $500 per second if they pay it out. Joining us now, NewsNation contributor Kurt Bardella and Republican strategist Boyd Matheson. Thank you both for being here. Boyd, let me start with you. How is her hire any different from networks who hire others who have close political ties to former campaigns or presidential candidates or presidents themselves?
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of shift there at all. I think MSNBC and NBC executives were trying to figure out a way to get an insider's point of view. I think they were right in doing that, especially on MSNBC. I think Kurt and I need to change our going rate here a little bit in the wake of all of that. But I do think it's an important thing in terms of just the conversation around what kinds of voices we have on these kinds of conversations so that we can have different conversations, not just be inside our own little social media bubble or just listening to the people who validate what we already think we believe or what we already think we know.
Yeah, right. Feed the beast. $30,000 a second. So, boy, you just made a ton of money if that was in your contract. Kurt, do you think this was a brilliant move that backfired for NBC?
No, I think it was ill-conceived from the very beginning. Number one, I don't think someone's going to be able to offer you a whole bunch of real-time insight when they just got ran out of the job by the Republican nominee for president. This person's not going to be close to that operation. They literally replaced her. Number two, this is a classic know your audience situation. I somewhat disagree with Geraldo in that there is no right to say whatever you want and get paid for it. You have the right to say whatever you want to anybody. I welcome Ronna to come on NewsNation and tell her side of the story, but you don't have a right to a contract. That's not censorship. Number three, the NBC audience doesn't want to hear from her. At the end of the day, this is a business, and the business is to create programming that attracts an audience. And the programming can be different depending on what type of views you want, what type of opinions you want. It was an incredibly misreading of their own audience that they went down this path in the first place, and they just bungled it after it became public and had this open revolt, something that we've never seen before. And again, I say this as someone who, I should disclose, I was a former MSNBC contributor, so I know how that building works. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I think really enraged people on the progressive side was that oftentimes a lot of commentators have been told by NBC executives, we don't have the budget for you. We don't have the budget to pay you. We love having you on our air, but the money isn't there. So to hear that and then to turn around and say, wait a second, you offered her a 2-year, $300,000 per year contract, but you're telling everyone over here that there's no money, it doesn't add up.
Yeah, they have the budget, just not for certain people, right? It depends on who you are. I'm curious, Boyd, do you think she shows up somewhere else?
I'm sure there's a place for Ronna McDaniel somewhere out there in terms of that kind of perspective and look at what's gone on over the last decade inside that Republican National Committee. I think one of the interesting things, too, and I think one of the important lessons is sort of the wake of destruction that comes behind former President Donald Trump. I think one of the things that Ronna McDaniel suffered from, which many have on both the right and the left, on the right, they believe they have a relationship with Donald Trump. When he really doesn't have relationships, he has transactions. And when the transactions no longer are in his favor, it's over. And so you saw that play out in both her dismissal as the chair of the RNC, and you saw the former president coming out on social media yesterday, ridiculing, deriding her and MSNBC. So it worked that way. And then we've also seen it on the left, that those who have become broken by the former president in their obsession are also missing important conversations in that process. So it is one of those, Shakespearean who for one small grape would the entire vine destroy models, which seems to follow the former president. I think we're seeing that with Ronna McDaniel.
Yeah. And Kurt, final word for you. What does this backlash say about the partisan divide in Washington on both sides?
Well, it's a reflection of where we're at right now at this point in this country. But I do think it also underscores why it's refreshing to have places, frankly, like NewsNation, where there are welcoming of multiple viewpoints. There are conversations that happen every day on these shows where we can have a Republican and a Democrat sit here and talk and not lead to it being You're terrible because I disagree with you. You're a racist because I disagree with you. You're sexist because I disagree with you. We can actually have the conversation. I think that there is an audience for that, and we're not getting enough of that on any programming, across the board right now. That's been a real challenge. And the polarization has just led to this toxic pit where everyone just retreats to their own corners and nobody wants to get outside of their own bubble and hear from the other side. You cannot fix things in this country if you're not willing to listen to other people.
NewsNation, a place where all voices are welcome, and we're always glad to have both of yours. And if we were paying you her fee, we would owe you $150,000 for that last 5 minutes. Wow.
It's in the mail.
All right.
I'm calling my agent.
Work on that new contract. Hey, guys, thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Marty.
Take care.
Okay, coming up, Florida.